In the heart of a deep, enchanting forest, where the sunlight danced through leaves of emerald and gold, a little mouse scurried along a winding path. This was not just any mouse, but a clever, bright-eyed creature, with whiskers twitching and a nose ever searching for adventure and a tasty treat. The air was crisp and filled with the scents of moss and wildflowers, and every rustle of leaves seemed to whisper secrets of the woodland world. As the little mouse made his way beneath towering trees and over carpets of fallen leaves, his eyes sparkled with curiosity. Each step brought the promise of something new, a hidden nut, a friendly beetle, or perhaps a surprise around the next bend. The forest, though vast and mysterious, felt alive with color and light, welcoming even the tiniest explorer. Suddenly, from the shadows near a gnarled old tree, a red-furred fox poked his head out of his den. His eyes gleamed with sly intent, and his tail swished softly behind him. He stepped onto the path, blocking the mouse's way. "Well, well, little mouse," purred the fox, putting on his most charming smile. "Why don't you come into my cozy den and join me for dinner?" The mouse paused, heart thumping, but with a mischievous grin, he replied, "Oh, thank you, Fox, but I can't come with you. I'm already invited to dinner with the Gruffalo." At the mention of this strange name, the fox's ears twitched in confusion and a hint of worry. He had never heard of a Gruffalo before, but the mouse sounded so certain. A dinner with a Gruffalo must be something serious indeed. The fox, not wanting to risk it, stepped aside, letting the mouse hurry on his way. The little mouse continued his journey, feeling quite proud of his quick thinking. But the forest was full of surprises, and soon he found himself under the watchful gaze of a great owl perched high in the branches above. The owl's eyes were round and golden, sharp and clever, and his wings spread wide as he swooped down silently, landing just ahead of the mouse. "Greetings, little mouse," hooted the owl, his voice echoing through the trees. "Why not join me in my treetop nest for a feast? Ni sati." The mouse looked up, swallowing a nervous giggle. "Thank you, owl, but I can't stay. I'm expected for dinner with the Gruffalo." The owl blinked in surprise. "The Gruffalo?" he echoed, his feathers ruffling with unease. If the mouse was friends with a Gruffalo, perhaps it was best to let him be. With a flutter of wings, the owl soared away, leaving the mouse to scurry onward. No sooner had the mouse rounded a mossy rock than a snake slithered into view, winding his glossy body through the grass. His tongue flicked out, tasting the air, and his eyes shone with curiosity. "Well, hello, little mouse," hissed the snake. "Why not come into my log for a delicious meal? It's nice and cool inside." The mouse hesitated only a moment before replying, "Thank you, snake, but I really must go. The Gruffalo is waiting for me, and I wouldn't want to be late." At the sound of this fearsome name, the snake recoiled in fright. "The Gruffalo?" he whispered, disappearing into the undergrowth without another word. The mouse pressed on, heart pounding with both excitement and relief. He had managed to outwit 3 of the forest's cleverest hunters, all with the help of his imaginary Gruffalo. But just as he began to relax, a shadow fell across the path. The ground trembled ever so slightly, and a deep, rumbling sound filled the air. From behind a thicket, a truly enormous creature stepped into the clearing. He was unlike anything the mouse, or anyone else, had ever seen. His fur was shaggy and wild. His eyes shone orange like burning coals, and his horns curled atop his head like ancient tree roots. He had terrible tusks and claws, as long as the mouse's body, and a tongue that lolled from his mouth, green and slimy. Purple prickles covered his knees, and his teeth were as sharp as knives. The mouse's eyes grew wide as saucers. He had invented the Gruffalo to scare away his enemies, but now here was a Gruffalo, as real as the moss beneath his feet. The Gruffalo looked down, his great head looming closer. "Who are you?" he growled, his voice as deep as thunder. The mouse's whiskers quivered, but he remembered his cleverness. "I'm the scariest creature in the whole forest," he declared, his voice as steady as he could make it. The Gruffalo blinked in surprise. "You? Scariest? Why, you're just a tiny mouse." The little mouse stood tall, or as tall as a mouse could stand. "You don't believe me? Walk with me through the forest and you'll see. Everyone flees when they see me coming." The Gruffalo scratched his head, curious. "All right," he rumbled. "Let's see if you're telling the truth." So, side by side, a most unusual pair, Mouse and Gruffalo set off into the woods. The Gruffalo's heavy footsteps shook the earth, while the mouse trotted bravely beside him, hoping his plan would work. As they walked, the fox spotted them first. His nose twitched, and he froze in terror at the sight of the enormous Gruffalo. Without a word, the fox yelped and vanished into the undergrowth. "See?" said the mouse. "Everyone's afraid of me." The Gruffalo scratched his chin, considering. Moments later, the owl swooped overhead, ready to greet the mouse. But when he saw the Gruffalo at his side, he let out a startled screech and flapped away as fast as his wings could carry him. "Another one," said the mouse, glancing up at the Gruffalo. "They all run when I'm near." The Gruffalo's eyes narrowed, a flicker of worry in their fiery depths. Then, from the tall grass, the snake slid into view. But at the sight of the Gruffalo's massive feet and bristling purple prickles, the snake turned tail and slithered away without so much as a goodbye. The Gruffalo took a step back, shivering. "It's true! You really are the scariest creature in the woods. I must go. Goodbye, little mouse." And with that, the Gruffalo dashed into the trees, his heavy footsteps fading into the distance. Left alone in the dappled sunlight, the little mouse let out a sigh of relief. He had faced creatures big and small, sly and swift, and even the legendary Gruffalo himself, all with nothing but his clever mind and a brave heart. Settling down beneath a sunlit tree, the mouse pulled out a shiny brown nut, a perfect treat after such an adventurous day. He nibbled contentedly, savoring the sweet, crunchy flavor as the forest returned to its gentle, peaceful hum. The day faded into evening, and golden sunlight streamed through the leaves, painting the world in warm, sleepy colors. The mouse closed his eyes, grateful for his quick wits and the magic of believing in himself. For in the great wild forest, even the smallest creature can be the cleverest of them all. And so, as the stars began to twinkle high above, the little mouse dreamed sweet dreams, knowing that sometimes a little imagination and a lot of courage can turn even the scariest story into a happy ending. Tonight, the forest was calm. The fox, owl, and snake kept to their dens, thinking twice before crossing paths with a mouse so bold. And somewhere, deep in the woods, the Gruffalo told tales of the bravest, cleverest mouse he had ever met. As the gentle breeze rustled the leaves and the moon rose high, the lesson lingered in the air. Wit and bravery can outshine any fear, and sometimes the wildest tales are the ones that save the day. And so, in the heart of the ancient woods, the mouse's legend grew, whispered from root to treetop, from burrow to branch, reminding all who listened that courage comes in even the tiniest of packages. And that is how a small mouse, with a big idea, found his way home, safe and happy as the stars watched over the sleeping forest, and dreams of adventure filled the night. The end.